Chapter 8F, Factorizing Monic Quadratic Trinomial, the hard type of factorizing. Okay, so to be able to factorize a Monic Quadratic Trinomial, what we need to do is we need to be very familiar with how we expand a binomial product. Okay, for example, in this case, let's revise together. So how do we expand it? The first term, so first term, and then outer, and then inner with negative 2x, and then the constant term, which is negative 2 plus 3. So we notice that the cross term, that is the terms that has both x and the number, is produced by the first x multiplied by 3, and the second x multiplied by negative 2. Okay? And then the constant term is provided by negative 2 times 3. So the two numbers in the binomials multiply together. Okay? Then we collect like terms so as to simplify. We'll have x squared plus x minus 6. That's the expanded result. Okay? So let's look at this expanded result. We notice that this plus x means that the coefficient of x is plus 1. That is because we have a number 3 and a number negative 2 added together to become plus 1. Similarly, we look at the constant term, which is 6. We notice that negative 6, here the constant term should be negative 6. The negative 6 is provided by negative 2 multiplied by plus 3. Okay? So the two terms, the first term is always x squared, and then you have an x term with a certain coefficient. That's a result of addition of the two numbers. And then you have a constant term, which is the multiplication, which is basically the product of these two constant numbers. Okay? So a side note, expressions take the form of x squared plus bx plus c, which b and c are constants. An expression like this are called Monic quadratic trinomials. Now we have to go backwards so as to factorize it. So Monic means here the coefficient of square is 1. And therefore, when we say factorizing Monic quadratic trinomials, we're always factorizing an expression that looks like x squared plus bx plus c. We're just going to figure out what makes b and what makes c so that we can factorize it. So we're essentially just looking for two numbers that multiply to give c. If c is a negative number, it has to multiply to give that negative number. And they also add up to give b. Okay? In most cases, the numbers we're trying to find are whole numbers. It would be very difficult if we were trying to find fractions to factorize. In most cases, it's whole numbers. Okay? So it really comes down to how familiar you are with the times table and how good you are with dealing with negative numbers. Okay? So let's have a look. Now, there are 4 quadratic trinomials. They're all Monic trinomials. And you notice that the constant term always have a value of 10. But there's a difference between plus 10 and minus 10. Okay? So A, B, C, D, they're sort of all linked. Let's see how we do them. Okay, so solutions for A. Two numbers add up to 7, but multiply to plus 10. Therefore, they should be plus 2 and plus 5, right? So the expression can be factorized into a binomial product, that is x plus 2, x plus 5. If you're not sure, you can expand your factorized result to see if it actually goes back into the original one. Okay? So that's for A. B, you're looking for two numbers added to negative 7 and multiplied to plus 10. So that should be negative 2 and negative 5. So negative times negative is still positive, but when they add together, it becomes a negative number. So x minus 2, x minus 5. Okay? C, you should know what we're looking for. Two numbers add up to negative 9, but multiply to negative 10. If you multiply to a negative number, it must be that one number is positive, the other one is negative. They have to be in different signs, right? So negative 10, but they add up to negative 9. We can guess that it's actually negative 10 and plus 1. So it factorized to x minus 10, x plus 1. D, similar number but different signs. So we still multiply to negative 10. It means that still one negative, one positive. But the number B, which is the cross term here, the coefficient here, is plus 9. It means if the positive number and negative number, the positive number should have a larger value. So we know that the two numbers should be negative 1 and plus 10. And therefore it factorizing to x minus 1 times x plus 10. Okay. Sometimes we will encounter an expression that doesn't look like it's a monic expression. For example, this one, right? It's 2x squared minus 2x minus 12. We can factorize it in the future, but now we want to focus on monic expressions. However, this expression, although not monic, it can be easily turned into a monic expression by taking out the common factor 2. So when we take out the common factor 2, then whatever has been left in the bracket is a monic expression. So we're looking for two numbers that add up to negative 1 but multiply to negative 6. Normally if we start with a multiplication, it's easier for us to figure out what will be the pair of numbers that add up to negative 1. Okay, so in this case it's negative 3 and plus 2. So your factorized form is you still have a 2 here because you already factorized out in your first step. And then your second step, you found these two numbers and you put them together. All right.